Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm sorry that these videos are so late. Unfortunately for me, I want to be able to post at least three, if I can get the chance, possibly two today. If worse comes to worse, I will do a stream tomorrow if I cannot get through enough of the stuff, because even I'm angry at my own self for failing. So therefore, I will do a stream tomorrow if it so calls it. However, what we have here is that we have a cop that was recently sentenced to 5 years in prison, the ex-Minneapolis cop, due to the George Floyd killing. Now, you're going to... I agree that if cops don't do anything and they see another cop doing something bad, like a crime or what have you, beating somebody when they shouldn't have been beating somebody or what have you, then yeah, they should probably be sentenced to some time in jail because, you know, it makes sense. Some people are not going to agree with me on this on some cases because, it kind of goes against it. But there are some cases that we have to go through to understand why, the thin blue line is kind of a cancer, and that's really a good thing, and that needs to be destroyed at some point. But you may have seen me defend this more going through this article than me than going against it. But we'll see. We have this Tou Thao, an ex-Minneapolis cop involved in George Floyd's killing, is sentenced to nearly 5 years in prison for aiding and abetting. The fourth and final Minneapolis cop has been sentenced to 57 months in prison for his role in the 2020 killing of George Floyd. The sentence handed to Tou Thao, 37, by the county judge was 6 months longer than the sentence proposed by Minneapolis prosecutors. I was hoping for a little more remorse, regret, acknowledgement of some responsibility, and less preaching, Judge Peter Kyle said to Thao during sentencing on Monday. I think the problem here is not really not really the fact that he may have helped in this instance, but the fact that the judge did this, seems more of a scared or political thing than it is for actual typical justice. Now, if it's for actual justice reasons, and you're putting somebody away, and they didn't do the thing that they were supposed to do by stopping the cop by doing this or getting him off, then yeah, that I can understand it. But if you're gonna sentence somebody more longer than some other prosecutors or what have you, then we have to make that as a conversation of whether did this guy actually do this in good faith and in the right for justice, or did he did it for political reasons or what have you. So these questions need to come up and start questioning these things before we can just blindly believe, he just judged it did a good thing. And don't get me wrong, I am completely against the George Floyd killing, and I think that what that cop did should be in prison, and as he is. But it comes down to this instance: is this the correct type of law that you should be putting onto with the cop? It comes 3 months after Thao, a 9-year veteran of the force, was found guilty of aiding and abetting second-degree manslaughter. Thao testified that he served as a human traffic cone when he held back concerned bystanders who gathered as fellow officer Derek Chauvin knelt on Floyd's neck. Thao was also sentenced last year to 3.5 years over federal charges that he deprived Floyd of his civil rights. Cops involved in Floyd's killing have faced federal and state charges. Both incur time but can be served concurrently. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison and other prosecutors handling the state charges had asked for a judge to sentence Thao to 51 months in prison. In this 177-page ruling, Cahill said that Thao's actions separated Chauvin and two other four officers from the crowd, including an emergency medical technician, allowing his colleagues to continue restraining Floyd and preventing bystanders from providing medical aid. Now, this is to where I have an issue with this, alright? I agree that he should have done something, right? But at the same time, you can't just let citizens come and try to interrupt with a police procedure, right? Or a police arrest or what have you. There's also a lot of talk that we can have about this to where, for instance, if we were to put this in perspective, if you deem a cop doing something unjustly or what have you, and you need to probably, interfere, then maybe we can come up with some type of law or what have you that would make it right for a bystander or a citizen to stop a cop doing what he's doing. So I do agree in some instance to where if you're a cop and you're doing something horrendous, say for instance, about to pull a gun out on a innocent person, say for instance, innocent person that's doing nothing, or a person that has no weapon, you can obviously use a taser, or what have you, and he's putting a gun or what have you. There is some kind of, I think, moral or legal place where you put that where like, well, okay, the bystander can interrupt this. Because I do think cops have too much power in some instance, but at the same time, I agree that if you have a mob of people that are, going after, are going to interfere with something, like such as the Chauvin thing, as much as I don't like how that situation was being dealt with, I still think that this guy was trying to prevent something from going worse, right? And Chauvin was a criminal. Let's not sugarcoat it or anything. He was a criminal. However, there are some things that that we have to deem as right or wrong. I think he was being rightfully detained, though being the knee on the neck is a bit much. I agree that the knee on the neck would be to constrain him is fine, but not as long as it was. I think that as long as it was, that was insane, and the fact that he said he couldn't breathe probably was an indicator to probably get off of his neck at the very least, but restrain him maybe on his back or what have you, that could make him be able to do whatever or stand him up. But they didn't do this, and I don't think this guy in particular should be arrested for trying to keep a mob or a group of people away from handling it, because then we'll also reach this type of this type of situation to where we have to ask this question: is it okay for a bystander to interrupt in a police's job or arrest? That's where we have to come to this question here, and that needs to be answered at a legal and other type of law. But where this, I don't see to where this is gonna where you can rightfully do this. This is going to open a lot of doors, I think, in the legal case to where if bystanders can interrupt police proceedings or police arrests. He concluded that Thao's actions were even more unreasonable in the light of the fact that he was under a duty to intervene to stop the other officers' excessive use of force and was trained to render medical aid. That I do agree with. It's just, in this instance, I just, again, what can you do? You just have to you choose to stop the mob or you try to stop this. His hands were tied. I can kind of understand this guy's reasoning in this case to where he needs to stop the people from doing those horrendous acts. I agree, but at the same time, he had to stop the mob from trying to do stupid stuff as well. I think his hands were tied. Lawyers for Thao were not immediately available for comment on Monday. Dr. Chauvin was found guilty of murder in 2021. The two other officers, Thomas L. Lang and J. Alexander Kuhn, restrained Floyd's knees and buttocks while Chauvin knelt on his neck. Though Thao previously rejected a plea bargain on the state, claiming it would be lying to plead guilty when he didn't think he was in the wrong. He instead agreed to let Cohen decide the case based on evidence from Chauvin's 2021 murder trial and the federal level civil rights trial in 2022 of Lane and Kueng. Last year, Lane and Kueng pleaded guilty in state court to aiding and abetting second-degree manslaughter. Lane was sentenced to 3.5 years in prison, while Kueng was sentenced to 3 years. At a federal trial last year, Kueng and Lane was also found guilty of violating Floyd's civil rights. Lang was sentenced to 2.5 years and Kueng to 3 years in federal prison to run concurrently with the state sentence. Chauvin was sentenced to 22.5 years in state prison for unintentional second-degree murder of Floyd, which is I would find reasonable. Last year, he also received a concurrent sentence of 21 years in prison on federal fighting for his voice civil rights, etc., etc., etc. So yeah. The problem that I have with Derek Chauvin, in my personal opinion, is that I don't think he got a fair trial, and I don't think this guy would ever get a fair trial, especially in Minneapolis. But I don't think he's never going to get a fair trial. It was broadcast to the world. People seeing what he did, and I don't think this guy would ever possibly get a fair trial. But he would need to go. I think he would need to be charged at least in another state that is less aware and had less people that were that knew about it. Because I do agree he needed to be charged. I just don't think he had a fair trial in this instance, and due to that, yeah, I think that's the problem here. So we have this here from CNN. We have amid a surge in crime in Oakland, the California police have advised residents to use air horns to alert neighbors to intruders and add security bars to their doors and windows. This is bad. This is very bad, and I can see to where this is not good. California is having a massive crime problem, especially in places like Stockton, Oakland, L.A., San Francisco. Like, these places are not good to be in at all. And I think that this is a state of a problem to where I think that there's two-tier justice systems, and these things need to be fixed and addressed immediately. And I think the only way we can do that is with this man right here. Vivek Ramaswamy proposes new American revolution during Concord Town Hall. And I think, guys, as much as we want to deny it or do it, I think that the best solution here is to vote for Vivek Ramaswamy if Trump cannot get into office. And we have to face the reality that may be the possibility. However, I think Trump is the best solution for this country. However, Vivek Ramaswamy is, I think, the better Trump, in my personal opinion, in terms of conversation and all this other stuff, right? I think he's the better Trump. However, I think Trump will do what is right for the American people as well. So these are two really good candidates. I'll probably go over his CNN, his speech over that, and go over that because I think he said some very important things on that CNN panel that explains exactly what he's going to do, and that makes me want to vote for him even more. So, guys, this country's falling into hell. I don't see how any of this is going to go well in the system. I think a lot of people are fearing the justice system, that they may be the next, and this will also keep a lot of people wanting to be quiet because the justice system doesn't seem like it's being fair to anyone, and that they'll go after you if you deem going against the far left. And this is not the way we need in this country. This is not what we need at all for people to voice their opinions. All right, guys, that's the video. Like, share. As always, take care.